Hey, you've been listening to Silver Lining in the Cloud, brought to you by CDI Managed Services. We're next going to talk to Mutual Engineering and their head of Mutual Engineering, Richard Price. Rice.
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 Yes.
Sorry, Rich. Richard or Rich?
Richard's fine.
Richard Rice.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Forensic engineer.
Yes,
That's an
sir.
interesting. Tell us about the Mutual Engineering and forensic engineering and how what you guys do and how you got it going.
Well, the way I got into forensic engineering, some buddies of mine were working for this company where they were working on collapsed buildings and car wrecks and things like that. And I was a traditional engineer at the time, and I just thought they had the coolest jobs in the world. And then the March of '93 snowstorm came, and there were chicken houses laid waste all over North Georgia, and they needed a civil structural engineer. So I hired on with them, and have been a forensic engineer ever since.
Wow, it's an interesting term, isn't it?
Well, there are forensic pathologists. They look at failed,
Sure.
human bodies.
Organs,
Well,
yeah.
forensic engineers, we look at failed engineered systems, and I'm a civil structural engineer, and those are the kind of things I look at.
Okay, and you guys are located in Morrow? Or is
Morrow,
that
McDonough, that's where our
the
mail
south-
comes.
The
Yeah.
southern
South side, yes,
south
sir.
side,
Mhm.
south side. Yeah, great. Okay, so and what kind of clients do you have for forensic engineering?
Well, primarily legal, insurance, and folks in the construction industry. I do a lot of insurance claims work and do a lot of legal work as well, both plaintiff and defense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's so. And then do you go end to end with it in terms of
What does that mean?
Well, that would mean something like identifying the problem and then solving the problem. Fixing
Oh,
the
sure,
problem.
sure. In many cases,
Projects.
Well, the insurance client, they'll say, what caused this retaining wall to fail? And afterwards, they'll say, well, how do we fix it?
Yeah.
So I'll take it all the way to the end, as you say.
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, Rich. Well, how long has the company been around?
Well, I initially started as a forensic engineer in '93. The company's been around since '97.
Oh.
And starting in 2012, I went to work for the man for 3 years, and recently started my company back up about 9 months ago. Just kept mutual engineering.
Okay. And you're a member of there's actually an association or organization called the National Academy of Forensic Engineers.
Yes, sir. That's
Is that
a
right?
very important organization to me.
How has it helped you?
Well, it allows me to be a board-certified forensic engineer. Well, a lot of folks, they come out and engineers naturally love to solve problems. I
Right.
think a lot of us at the table know that. And but what makes it difficult is when a case or a situation, there's a deposition and goes to court, and a lot of engineers have a hard time there. And the things I've learned through the National Academy of Forensic Engineers has allowed me to be a better forensic engineer.
Mm-hmm. Is that a lengthy process to get certified, or is it
No, not really, except that you need to get a bachelor's degree in engineering, and then
That's 4
get
years.
Oh, yeah, there's
Do I
4 years
remember?
there, and then your internship after that till you
Uh-huh.
become a licensed engineer,
Uh-huh.
and then you work. I would suggest working in industry.
Experience?
Oh yeah, definitely. And then as a just at the member level of the National Academy of Forensic Engineers, you have to have a certain number of depositions, certain number of cases.
Oh,
and
there's a lot to it.
Right. It's not just a dues-paying organization. You have to
Okay.
have some experience.
So it really does mean something. That's
It
great.
does. It does.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so Rich, what would you say are the advantages and disadvantages of doing business for yourself?
Well, I started my business back in '97, and in 2012, for 3 years, I was working for someone else. And the advantages of working for someone else is the marketing pot of money that they sent me all over the world to market services. And
So you got to travel a lot?
Oh, travel a lot, and I found that I travel well. I love my Delta status. I love that. Since I've started, everyone at the table's laughing. Everyone goes, "Oh yeah," and to be able to get in before everyone else is always nice. But since starting to work for myself, I'm losing my Delta status, so I have to call them about that. But seriously, working for yourself, I love, and I guess the best analogy, I love going out and hunting my own meat and killing it and bringing it home. And that's very satisfying, working for yourself. It really is.
Yeah.
When you're working for someone else, you go out and you might hunt. You'll go out hunting, but you have to give the kill to someone else, so to speak.
You
And,
appreciate it more?
I do. I do. And now there are disadvantages, of all the paperwork you have to fill out, the governmental paper, taxes and what have you, and insurance. That's always a drag when you're working for yourself, but that's just part of the beast.
That's part of it. Yeah, absolutely. Talking with Richard Rice.
Yes, sir.
He's the head of Mutual Engineering, and we're talking about forensic engineering. So, how would you encourage young engineers to get into the forensic aspect of it?
Oh, definitely.
And why?
Well, it really depends on your nature. I was a music major before I was an engineering major, and performance. And being out there and teaching and what have you, and explaining things to people is just part of my nature. I guess from the early days of being a performance major, a music performance major. But if you find that in your blood, being a forensic engineer is a great outlet for that. I would definitely, once you get your degree, go out and do your internship. You have to work for another PE for a while, and work in industry as the normal way, and then later on you'll have your credentials, so to speak, to be an expert witness.
A personality trait is what I'm.
It helps. It helps. It helps. I've always enjoyed speaking. I always said my father, he could sell ice at the North Pole, and I hope I got a piece of that. So
sounds like you've got enough information in background and experience to you could have written a book.
Well, it turns out that I have. What a segue. Thank you very much.
Did?
Yeah, I did.
What's it called?
Well, To Be Made Whole Again. Basically, the closest genre.
Great title.
Thank you. The closest genre is a legal thriller. It's based on a lot of cases, but primarily a case I worked on 20 years ago in the low country of South Carolina, where a doctor was made a quadriplegic because of a defective road. And in the story, I talk about, plaintiff's attorneys and defense attorneys. I've worked for both, and so I try to be fair to both in my book. But there's some insurance adjusters that are talked about in my book, and I love you guys. And the one you read about in the book is an exception, I promise. But it ends well. I hope everyone finds that it ends well. I talk about experts on the other side that were less than credible, and how I was able to remove them from the case. I won't give that away, but that's a pretty interesting part, I'm told. It's a little inside baseball. I've had engineers read it and had folks who never knew anything about what I did. Thought it was a little inside baseball, but a lot of folks, they do like it.
Oh, absolutely. I can see that would be very interesting. How thick is this book?
Oh, it's a good weekend read.
Now, weekend read?
It's
fairly
a good
quick read, huh?
Right, yeah, it's a novelle. I mean, I learned what the different, short stories, this many words, a novelette, a novelle, a novel, or so many words each. Yeah. But it's more like a novelle, a good weekend read.
Oh, great. How long has the book been out, and how can you get it?
It's been out a little over a year. It's on Amazon.com, and or you can email me or go to my website.
So download it.
Well, no, just contact me, and
okay.
I'll you can buy it directly from me, and I'll sign it for you, or you can buy it from Amazon.com. To Be Made Whole Again.
Oh, excellent. To Be Made Whole Again. Contact Richard Rice. Richard, tell our listeners how they can reach out to you to get help with forensic engineering and or to get your book.
Sure. My email address is pretty simple, mutual@bellsouth.net. And my my webpage address is mutualengineering.com.
Okay. Thank you, Richard.
Thank
you
you
all. That's great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all for listening, for being involved in the show. You've been listening to Silver Lining in the Cloud, where we talk with business leaders and we talk business to business. You want to thank our guests today, Brian Herbert, Ash Brown, Tim Gorsuch, and Richard Rice. We appreciate all of you for what you do and what you bring to the business community and the economy here on our local level. I'm Dom Rainey, and it's been a pleasure to be the host of the show. And when it comes to outsource IT support, infrastructure support, and cloud solutions, please contact CDI Managed Services. And to listen to this show and other future shows, just contact silverlining.businessradiox.com. Thank you all again.